going to take my first quarter exam on world history. So, here's the first question. The dikes around Netherlands play a vit, vital, vital role in their country. Will you tell us why and how do they protect these sites? First, I will tell you a story. There was some everyone in Netherlands has their role in their country, and they have this. And all of the people in Netherlands know about this role. Even um, children, wives, and husbands. Every people, all of them know know about this role. So this was the role of protecting their dikes, because their dikes, was protecting them from the sea. Because of course they're a hollow land, and they and this are in a hollow land. That's why they named this whole land. And this was a hollow land, which is the sea is. It's like this is the sea, then this is the hollow land. So if the sea flowed on the hollow land, the hollow land will be covered by sea. So 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 to prevent this, um they made a dike, and this dike they made it for years and years, and it continued breaking when the north wind blew so strong. So but when they made the dike already strong, it was that even a little crack, they should protect it or stop it, because a little crack would continue to be a big crack. So um mm, so um mm, so the and here was a story of a little boy who played his role on the country. So one time, every when this little Dutch boy was going home from school with his back filled with books, and with when he heard a rushing sound of water, he stopped and listened. If he was sure that it was water water that he heard. So he he um when he stopped and to listen, if he was sure that it was rushing water, he heard it. It was water. So he rushed to the dikes and looked if there was a crack. And he saw the crack and put his fat little hand on the crack, and it was big enough to stop it. And he was sure to, but he did not call for help, because maybe it was too late if he called for help. So he stopped it there, and he was sure that someone will come there, that someone will come there and fix him. But noontime came, and noontime came, and noontime came. Still, no one went. So what he did, he was, and it was a dark night, stormy night. He was sure someone was about to come. It was a starving night for him because he hadn't eaten anything yet. He was so afraid. He was afraid, and there was the dark, and it was so a dark night that he mm, had tears on his eyes, waiting for someone. And when it was dawn, when the sun was rising, he was so sure that his his weary weary night has come to an end. For he was sure someone was about to come, and he was right. And there, someone was come and fix it for him. And then that was the story of them playing a role. But today there was someone guarding the dike for night and day. Here's the second question. Pick up three names of the people we have encountered in the first 12 chapters we have read from Awakening of Europe, and tell us everything you know about them. Mm, um, Here, Erasmus. I mean, we did we? Um, the first people, Erasmus. Erasmus was a monk. Was a monk, and was a monk. Was a monk, and he was. Wait, Erasmus was a monk, and Erasmus was a monk, and he. Um, Erasmus was a monk, and he was he, he um he was a monk, a poor monk, and he when one day he went to a library. He read this Bible, and the Bible he read the Bible and noticed that the 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 teachings of the monks were not the same as is written on the Bible. For for what the monk says, for what the monk says and taught him was not written in the Bible. He studied this New Testament, and this New Testament was he studied more, and he said about the Acts and the Romans, and he said even the epistles of the Paul, even the epistle of the Paul should be read by the weariest woman in the world, he said, and everyone should have a Bible in his or her hand, every family, everyone, he said. And then that was the beginning of the fire, and that was the beginning of the light in the world. And since then, since the day from that on, um, every family has this New Testament book and was reading it very New Testament book, which was written by Erasmus by different different languages, Latin, everything, different languages, everything. So, um, and this was the beginning of the single light of Europe. Next, the other the other people that I remembered about was Martin Luther. I remember this was a saint. Martin Luther was a great Dutch reformer, the great German reformer, which is gonna be known all over Europe. I remember there was a saying that in Erasmus chapter that Erasmus laid the egg and Luther hatched it. So I'm gonna tell about Martin Luther. Martin Luther was gonna be a great German reformer. Actually, he was born. Wait. Um. He was born on Germany. I'm not sure whether it was Germany or Rotterdam. Wait. Oh yes, yes, yes. He was born on Germany, and Erasmus was born on Rotterdam. When 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 Erasmus was 16 years old, there Luther was born. So Martin Luther was gonna be a great Dutch, great German reformer from someday. When he when he was his parents his parents wanted him to be a scholar. So they taught him everything since he was a little boy. And his father whipped him if he got it doesn't have the right answers. And one day, when he went to school, his teacher was so mad at him that 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 he didn't answer a single question, and his father whipped him 12,000 times that day. And when they could not afford any food for the three of them for his mother and his father, they put him they let him wander. And I also remember that he loves always in mischief. And then it's and also that um one day when they couldn't afford him, they let him wander around to the German poor German boys. He was friend with his friend, and along the way they would need some food, so they need to beg and to sing for food. when a lady when a lady saw heard him sing sang, she called him and gave him a place for home. Then there he studied Latin. He studied much more he studied much more greater than when his father was teaching him, and his father afforded him to the university. I remember there was this one time he he changed his mind to be a monk. This was when he was walking by his friend, and suddenly a lightning struck his friend, and his friend was beside him. and the light this was it. And um the lightning struck his friend, which was beside him. And then when he saw the suddenness of his friend's death, he decided to be a monk and not following his father's wishes to be a scholar. So he became a monk and read a Bible. And this Bible was like Erasmus, he discovered that this was different from the monk's teaching. And the Bible of New Test, the Bible which was written in different languages, in Latin, was his first time in seeing Bible written in Latin. So he became a monk. He studied the Bible deeper, and he became a monk, a poor monk. And um, he became a poor monk. And then one time when he was, there was this man, Tetzel, who, wait, 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 man John Tetzel, who invented this Inquisition or Inquisitors. Wait, I mean, I'm not that. This man was who 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 made that whosoever shall want to be saved and to be received by heaven shall be paying them taxes. And spread over all over the this was spread over all of the Europe, that he said that this was so wrong, that he wanted to have to judge and to say that he was so wrong. When he said this, he was called by a one of the popes one of the pope's man, who thought that he would be arguing with this German quite easily, and he would let him stop. So here, um, he went to the church with 95 with 95 with 95 reasons with 95 reasons, and he was cold. And and the man of the pope thought that he would be arguing with this German quite easily and would let him stop. To him, and he said unto him, "You German, you German, will you stop doing this to the Pope? Stop doing this to the Pope." And then he thought that the matter was settled when Martin Luther said that he should be when Martin Luther said that he would not stop and stop anything of his teaching or stop any of his writings. So any of his writings. So and then the man of the Pope said, "What? How dare you say that? Do you expect that the princess will that the princess will hide you and protect you against the Pope? The Pope's little finger would be strong enough to burn your city and destroy you," he said. So then the and then after that, he was gun then. Then he then he thought that, and then um when the Pope sent a file to him that that he should stop teaching, he lit a flame and burned that document. He was pale like death, but he knew well what he was doing. He knew well. He was pale like death and put the document in the fire that lit the flame. And this this the people shouted and said people shouted for him and praised him for his doing. But this fire did not just lit the flame in one place in Europe, but lifted the flame at all the places in Europe, the whole Europe. Here then, he was called by Charles V. He was called by Charles V. And Charles V was gonna give him a council and called Diet, which gonna be taken place at Rhine, a city in Charles V, ruler of ruler of France, yeah, ruler wait, ruler of Germany, half half ruler of the ruler of half the world, and he was going to be taken at the council of called Diet in the city of Rhine, in a country called Rhine, and in the Rhine place was a city called Worms, the Diet of Worms. So this Diet of Worms, his friends tried to tell him that he should not go, but he said that he should not go and said that he said, "Does the diet of worms has many devils on it, like the roof, the thatches of the roof," he said. And so he went on bravely to his to the worms, and his friends was doubting if he was right or he was wrong. And the people shouted while his way on the worms, "Long live long I mean Loser forever!" And then Luther said, "No," quietly. "Christ forever," he said. And I remember a famous writer said that this shout was not only a shout of one people, but the shout of nations. So when he reached the Diet of Worms, here was the council, and here soldiers were surrounding where he was, and there was princess, lords on the top, and trying to judge him, and people watching him. They were so sorry. They were sorry for him. And one, a soldier, talked to, whispered to him, and said, "Be brave, young Christian. Be brave, be brave," he said. "In Christ, for in the name of Christ, march, onward, march," he said. And he was one of Martin Luther's. Oh, and also, and then Martin Luther answered him, "In Christ's name, let onward march." So then he was questioned if, and there was these books laid at the table, and they questioned if he was the one who wrote them, and he answered yes. And he answered yes. And if they say if he's gonna destroy them or stop making them, he said no. And he reasoned and defended himself when at last they gave up at him. And he said, "Whoa!" And then he said, um, So and at last they gave up on him, and he said, "It is past. It is past." But the arriving of the real one who's gonna judge him was not long taking, and he was against Martin Luther, and he said that he should stop preaching, but he said, God God's word shall not be bound, he said. And when his friends tried to hide him on a castle, a French castle, trying to hide him. And that's all what I remember about Martin Luther. And the other one is called William the Silent, or William the Orange. This William has a lot of names. Has a lot of names. He was famous at Netherlands. Oh wait. There was this Netherlands. At this Netherlands, there was time they called a Inquisition. This Inquisition, they asked the Netherlands if they are followers of Martin Luther, and if they are, they shall be, and if they are Protestants, they shall be killed. And one of these Protestants was William. This William has many names: William the Orange, William the Silent, and William. He has three names. They call him William the Silent because of his ways. Because of his ways, he was quite silent. He was quite silent, and also they, if they have their own problems, they he would just smile to them. He was so famous and became a leader of Netherlands, and also um he had his own motto, like I forgot, but that's all. Here's the third question. Retell the ever beautiful story of Siege of Leyden. Um, yeah, Inquisition. The Inquisition continued, and they decided to attack Leyden if they can attack the others. And Leyden was a beautiful city, and it has great dikes. It has great dikes, and so they tried. The Spanish attacked them, and they starved for days. They starved for days, And but the Prince of Orange said that better drowned land than a lost land, because they don't want to surrender to the Spaniards. They're beautiful city. So what they did was, but what they did was to destroy the dikes. That was the short story. But what but but Prince William the Orange was planning to destroy the dikes so that the people will not starve. So when his plan was trying, William the Orange started the dikes, and he said to the people that they should go to the tower, the tallest tower. They should go to the tower and when the dikes are started being destroyed. So when the dikes are started being destroyed, so they went to the tower, and some of the women died, children died, because they could not reach to the tower because of starvation. They could not hold any longer. Nothing was left until they tried to make a they already tried to eat everything. Nothing was. They ate their cakes, they ate everything, but nothing was left. That they were so starving that some of them already died, and some of them are already in the tower, but could not survive. William the Orange died not at his city. The Prince of Orange not died at this city, but died somewhere else, thinking of thinking of his beloved city. If they could they could wait a year more than a year to for the dikes to be destroyed. So when the dikes are started to be destroyed, this a fleet was coming, but the fleet was stopped by a but the fleet but the fleet was stopped by a large wind. When one time these were staying at the tower, and the water grew and grew and grew. But the Spaniards, when they thought that the water will not overflow. So they said, but when they saw the water grew, they run. And then a boy in the when he saw this, he signaled that it was already over, and it was really over. The Spaniards was away already. So the beautiful city Leyden was seen. Here's the fourth question. If you are one of Leyden's people, would you still uphold the Prince of Orange view that better a drowned land than a lost land? And why? I like his motto that better drowned land than a lost land, that he wanted his land drowned than being lost or lose in a battle. But but if you're gonna stay for a week and wait, I would agree to that, and I would like to be a drowned land than a lost land. But if it's gonna last it for a year, I think I could not carry that. I think I would want to. I think I would have some doubts at that time if there's gonna be if I wanted a lost land, because I'm so hungry at that time. So I'm wondering if I'm gonna have a doubt in my mind if I would want a lost land. But to be honest, I don't want my country to be handed by the Spaniards too. So I would like a drowned land and a lost land. But as I said earlier, if it's gonna last last a long year or 2 or more years, I think I would give up. I just think so. I just thought of that. So I thought that the people of Netherlands were so brave enough, was very brave. That's all.